My relationship with music started long ago when I was a child. My mother forced me to take piano lessons. She was very strict, like many Asian tiger mothers. Needless to say, I didn't become long, but I've continued that love of music through jazz. The first time I heard jazz was in high school, when my tutor said, "You should check out Dave Brubeck. Take 5." I put it on and I was hooked. In fact, one of my favorite jazz artists, Nina Simone, once said, "Jazz is not just music. It's a way of life, it's a way of being, it's a way of thinking." In my view, jazz is a universal language, transcending borders, politics, religion, languages. It stands as one of the most effective means to promote and foster mutual understanding between different peoples and different cultures. Cultural exchange holds great significance for me. In 2022, I had one of the most meaningful experiences of my life by participating in a program called East-West, the Art of Dialogue. This exchange initiative, created by Mr. Shafik Gabr, was designed to foster constructive relationships between future leaders from the Arab world and the West. The initiative was launched by the Shafik Gabr Foundation in 2011 and is inspired by the journeys of the Orientalist traveler painters. 10 Egyptians and 10 Americans, one of them being me, were selected for the fellowship. We spent 10 days in Egypt and the next 10 days in the United States. Mr. Gabr created this fellowship because he believes that positive change between countries and peoples could be most impactful when conducted outside of the official fora. Rather, it starts at the people-to-people level, building mutual respect and understanding through dialogue and exchange. He emphasizes that a simple face-to-face conversation holds more power than many of us realize. Our journey began early on the first morning in Cairo. The next 2 weeks were action-packed, consisting of meetings, conversations over meals, and visits to culturally significant locations. Notable alumni, distinguished speakers, and esteemed guests were invited to engage with us, each addressing topics from US-Egypt relations to Egyptian history, back to the pharaohs and Cleopatra. We were also taken to see the Suez Canal, the pyramids, and the Sphinx. One of the days we spent visiting the League of Arab States. The Secretary General gave us a fascinating talk on the current state of the Arab world and the relationships between its member states. One of the biggest highlights for me was spending time with my Egyptian fellows. I greatly appreciated their warm hospitality, as well as our lengthy discussions about fostering real change and mutual respect between the US and Egypt, not to mention all the dancing, singing, shopping, and delicious meals we shared together. Shortly after our time in Egypt, we transitioned to the second half of the program in the United States. Our time there started in New York City, and this time it was our turn to host our Egyptian guests. The itinerary was similar and just as busy as we were in Egypt. In New York, we visited the UN, the Met, and even got to see the closing bell at the NASDAQ. After 2 days, we headed to Washington, where we visited Capitol Hill and met with various members of Congress, and even ate delicious Southern barbecue. As the second part drew to a close, I had the opportunity to reflect on the journey I had undertaken. Inspired by meeting so many accomplished individuals and getting to know my fellow Egyptians, I felt a renewed excitement about our potential and the endless possibilities we had to foster greater mutual understanding. By building bridges between young Egyptians and young Americans, we can promote dialogue and exchange of ideas, not only between our two countries, but between people of all countries. Today, I am the co-director of UNESCO International Jazz Day, which is an annual event on the UN calendar first created in 2011 to promote jazz as a vehicle for peace, mutual understanding, and intercultural dialogue. As the co-director, it's my job to help plan this global celebration every April, which happens in 195 countries around the world. Years later, the Gabr Fellowship has left a deep impact on me and my current work with jazz. The wonderful memories and lasting bonds from the Gabr Fellowship continue with me to this day. I look forward to welcoming future cohorts of fellows to the East-West Dialogue to join our family.